So, last class this is the trailer section dredger. We are discussing 4 methods of disposal. What are the 4 methods of disposal? Rainbow, pipeline, then 4 methods. Door opening, then
injecting through the section also.
Injection through the section. It is not door opening, I think bottom door we will put, or it is called as a split barge. This is one of the method. The second one is by rainbow. Then we have pipeline. You can inject through the, what is it called, that is the section head. So, these are the 4 methods of disposal. Which will be the fastest? Bottom door. The other 3 methods you have to do something before disposal. What is to be done? Bottom door you do not have to do anything, just open the bottom door, it will go. You have to mix with water. See, for all these 3 methods you have to mix with water. Mixing with water means it is not easy because you cannot have the full capacity of the what is it called, container or whatever it is, the compartment where you are storing the dredge material. It will overflow, water will overflow, the sediments will settle. If you want to mix it with water, then there should be some space available for mixing. So, you cannot carry the full capacity of the hopper. Okay, you have to mix it in the hopper, you have to mix it with water. Which is the best method for disposal? Or which is the worst method for disposal out of the 4 methods? What is it? Rainbow is not the worst. Then, which food is good, fast food or normal food? Which food is very bad? Which is the fastest method here? That is the worst method. Because when you are disposing very fast using a bottom barge, it will disturb the environment. In addition, the thickness of the sediment will be higher when you do that. That is why you cannot do. Rainbow technique and all is good if you are disposing it on the shoreline for nourishment. This we are doing in Gopalpur also. Then this injection through the section head, whatever speed you are removing the dredge material, the same speed and the same manner you are disposing. Pipeline is for creating artificial islands or things like that. In Dubai and all, they want to create artificial islands for real estate purpose. There they use it for pipeline, and you can use the pipeline instead of rainbowing also to dispose it onto the land, because rainbow you can do only up to 300 to 400 meters distance. So, if you do not have the shoreline, you need a draft of about 6 meter for the trailer section dredger. The 6 meter contour is not very close by. If you do a rainbow, it will not go to the shoreline. Then we have to use a pipeline. In the dredging, the environmental clearance, if you have to get, the main part they discuss about this disposal of dredge material. So, you can dispose it to the northern or southern part of the shoreline where erosion may likely to take place for beach nourishment. So, there is an impact due to construction of breakwater, that is either the erosion or accretion. Accretion is not a very serious hazard, whereas erosion is a hazard. Erosion, where it will take place in the eastern coast? Which side? Suppose you construct a breakwater, which side the erosion will take place? Northern side or southern side? Both are correct. Which season the erosion will take on the northern side? How many seasons are there? Monsoon, non-monsoon. Monsoon, how many monsoons are there? What are the monsoons? Non-monsoon season, this littoral drift will be less. It will be there, but it will be very less. So northeast and southwest monsoon. Northeast monsoon, which side will be erosion? Southern side. Southwest means northern side. So southwest monsoon is for a longer period. So the erosion will take place on the northern side. If you go in November, December, that is the season for northeast monsoon. If you go to the Marina Beach, you can see some erosion during cyclone time. If you want to see throughout erosion, you go to the northern side. The other option is to dispose at 20 meter depth contour, and this is very likely that the suitable disposal sites will be readily agreed with the authorities. So you can dispose at a water depth of about 20 meters or more. This may be at a distance of about 5 nautical miles from the shoreline. So you dredge it and dispose it off at 20 meter depth. There you can use the split barge, bottom door you can open and dispose it off. Okay. So the depth of when you dispose it off in the open sea at 20 meter depth, the permissible increase in seabed level is about 0.3 meters. Is it clear? When you dispose it off, the contour was minus 20, it can rise only up to minus 19.7. That is what they permit. That means you have to take a wider area. See, normally the harbor basin size is around 2 km by 2 km, that is inside the breakwater. The extent is about 2 km by 2 km. Typically disposal area will be about 5 km by 5 km or 10 km by 10 km area. Because even if it is a harbor basin, you select only a entrance channel, dredging circle and turning basin and berth pocket to dredge. So dispose of about 5 km by 5 km area. If they increase the water depth by 0.3 meter, it will not create any problem. The another issue here is what type of material you are disposing. Is it sand or clay, which will create less turbulence, less suspended sediments? Sand will create less suspended sediments, it will get disposed. The northern side, if you want to pump, you pump only sand and not clay, because clay if you pump you cannot get a very good foundation, you cannot do any structure, or it may not be, the suspended material will be very large also. So clay you normally dispose it off in the deeper water depths, sand only you can use it for disposal. This disposal is not only on the northern side, even in the harbor basin, to raise the low lying areas you can use the disposal method. The cost of dredging is consisting of 3 components. One is mobilization. There are 3 components of cost. One is mobilization, the second one is dredging, third one is disposal. So an approximate cost is about 200 rupees per cubic meter if it is sand or clay. Rock it will be 10 times more. Mobilization is the type of dredger which you mobilize. It may come from a long distance. So if you have sufficient quantum of dredging, about 5 to 10 million cubic meter, they may mobilize a good dredger. Mobilization cost is very high, nobody will pay for mobilization, they will put that mobilization cost in per cubic meter cost. So if the volume of dredging is more, the component of mobilization will become less. Similarly disposal, if it can be disposed at a shorter distance, the cost will be less. So the east coast which we discussed, we have the littoral drift. This is from south to north during the southwest monsoon, and comparatively volumes, less volumes I should write in the opposite direction during northeast monsoon. So generally the net drift will be towards the northern side. So erosion will be on the northern side of the port and accretion on the southern side of the port. There are 2 types of dredging, one is called as the capital dredging, another is called as the maintenance dredging. So if you put an approach channel, that will act like a sand trap and that will create the place for maintenance dredging. So if you have a harbor basin, this is very important while doing the layout. They have this breakwater on one side and breakwater on the other side. Then we have the entrance channel. So, you will have an accretion on the southern side. Normally, when we draw the figure, the northern side is like this and the shoreline will erode like this. So, this much portion will get eroded. We use satellite imagery and we have calculated how much area is accreted and how much area is eroded using satellite imagery for Pondicherry port. The area is the same, the area of accretion and area of erosion is the same, but what happens is the distance for accretion is less and the extent of accretion on to the shore is more. So, suppose this is about a kilometer, this distance is more than a kilometer, this will taper off to some distance, this distance is about 2 kilometers. Suppose this distance is about 500 meters, this distance is about 200 meters, the area will be the same, whereas this erosion distance will be less compared to accretion, the zone of influence will be less compared to the northern side. This what. So, this some equilibrium will be reached, it will not continuously keep, maybe about 4 or 5 years this equilibrium will reach. Then afterwards, when the sediment is moving here, this acts like a sand trap and you do the maintenance dredging on the entrance channel. In sometimes they use a sand trap here on the southern side, if you do not want the entrance channel dredging to be carried out, then they deepen a portion on the southern side and create a sand trap. There is one more method that is adopted, that is you create a detached breakwater here, do not start the breakwater from the shoreline and you create a sand trap here. This is being carried out in Visakhapatnam Port Trust, where they have a sand trap here, they dredge this area. So, what is the advantage of sand trap here compared to here? There is an advantage here compared to here. What is the advantage? You are thinking too much, very simple. Who is answering? Raise your hand there.
Dredging already to be done inside the harbor. So sand trap
you are going to the right direction, but not exactly. See, dredging is easy inside the harbor basin. Dredging is difficult outside the harbor basin. Very simple. Most of the solutions or most of the answers are simple. You are going to search for a wrong answer. See, dredging inside will be easier, no, compared to dredging outside. Dredging outside will be difficult because you cannot do it in all the seasons. That is the reason they want to create. This detached harbor is done by Sir Visvesvaraya. We celebrate Engineers Day, and he only has said that we will do like this. Then we are doing like this, and still it is being done. The Ramakrishna beach is nourished every year by this. So, there is a combination of groin field and rainbowing techniques. This is done in Chennai port. Our department professor Sundar has designed this groin field, and we do, they do not do any beach nourishment there, but we can still do the beach nourishment using groin field. This is a reclamation process where the cutter section dredger pipeline will go and dispose of the sediments. This is a typical figure showing the rainbow technique. So, this distance only I was telling about 300 meters to 500 meters. The draft required for the trailer section hopper dredger is about 6 meter. So, it cannot come closer. So, it has to stand where the water depth is 6 meter then pump the sediments. This should not be pumped in open sea because of the pollution being created. So, if it is falling directly onto the sea coast, it will be better. There are some locations where about 6 meter water depth is available very close to the shoreline. You can see here, you can see how the rainbow goes directly to the coastal line. They have shown one pipeline also, so maybe they have disposed of using a pipeline and brought the shore closer to the ship. A combination, this is what we are planning to do in Gopalpur. There is another thing called as a confined disposal, that means you construct some dikes and then dispose of the material. So, the main purpose of this is to retain the dredge material solids, whereas the water will be released. If you are receiving some contaminated material, the additional objective is to provide the efficient isolation of contaminants from the surrounding area. There will be some contaminants, especially when you have the sewage disposal of municipal waste and things like that. There will be some contamination, some industrial waste and things like that. So, we want to have a dike inside you dispose of, so that the contaminant is within the dike. So, we need to have control systems such as surface covers, liners, treatment of effluent, surface runoff and leachate. This is a detailed area which gains lot of importance nowadays. You have to study separately to do this. This is one example where they construct dikes all around and then dispose of the sediment. This is the area where they have disposed of. So, this environmental impact assessment and environmental management plan, that is EIA and EMP, this is very important subject, is gaining a lot of importance. The environmental management consists of these 5 stages. One is before dredging, during dredging, along with the weather conditions, during stoppage of dredging and after dredging. So, these are the 5 conditions what we have to study. During dredging we assume a favorable weather condition. Suppose the weather condition becomes very bad, you can still continue dredging, but there is a limit up to which you can do because of the permissible motion of the dredger, then you have to stop. Any stoppage of dredging operation and restarting it, it has its own impact on the dredging operation, that also you have to do. Then what happens after dredging? After dredging in the harbor basin and entrance channel, as well as after dredging in the disposal area, we have to study the impact and carry out some management plan. So, when I talk about this impact study and management plan, what are the parameters to be monitored? You have to monitor the turbidity, very simple to understand, because when you dredge it you create turbulence. So, because of that there is turbidity, lot of suspended sediments. What happens to the currents? The currents direction may change during dredging process as well as disposal. Then sediment plumes, when you are disposing, there will be a plume which will come from the sediment. Then we have to study the effect of dredging, some of these aspects, in addition some other aspects, as well as the ecosystem during dredging. That is, ecosystem means about the, generally it consists of temperature, salinity, this zoological parameters, fish and other things. So, you can classify all these effects into 4 categories. One is physical, chemical, biological and toxicological. These are the 4 parameters that are to be monitored. Now comes the main problem associated with India, whereas it is not so difficult in China. China, the growth is there mainly because there is no effective monitoring of any environmental impacts. They decide to go ahead with the projects, there is a minimum interference from environmental lobbies, whereas in India it is very high. There is no problem in having this monitoring, but if you see this various agencies and what they look for, then it becomes really difficult. First we will start with the ministries. There are 4 ministries which are involved. One is Ministry of Shipping, another is Ministry of Defence, another is Ministry of Environment and Forest, the next one is Ministry of Agriculture or Ministry of Animal Husbandry and Dairy. These all the 4 ministries, these are under the control of central government, but there are some state governments that also you have to that also monitor certain things. There are 2 permissions given by central government. One is called as consent to establish, another is consent to operate. This is given by the state government. There are various studies required to get that. Consent to establish means the state government gives the consent, either the pollution department or we have the maritime boards, they give the consent to establish before starting the project. Once the project is completed, they again come and check and then give consent to operate. This is given by the state governments. But when it comes to the central government, we will take this Ministry of Shipping. We have the 3 acts which are to be satisfied. So, you should know what are these 3 acts: Indian Ports Act, Major Port Trust Act, Merchant Shipping Act. These are the 4 acts which you have to see. For example, all of you must be knowing that Pratibha Kaveri. What is the problem of Pratibha Kaveri? You know what is Pratibha Kaveri? What is the problem with that? What was the main problem? All of you know what happened to that ship? It got grounded. Okay. There are certain certification required for a ship to ply. So, these certificates they want to withdraw now because certificates have not been done. So, whether it comes under one of these acts like compensation, what is the penalty to be imposed, everything is to be done in this. And Ministry of Shipping, they have certain controls. We may think that it is not good, but it is essential for fair play. Suppose there is a port in which there is a terminal, Chennai port as a terminal. They do not want that to be monopolized. In India container operation, there is a company called DP World. This DP World is almost containing all the container ports in container terminals in India. What they do is, if there are 3 terminals side by side, 3 berths side by side, if the first berth is given to DP World, we say the second berth cannot be in a PPP mode, public private partnership mode. This DP World will not be allowed to participate. They cannot bid for that project. The third berth they can do. The second fellow cannot bid the third berth. This is what they do. Sometimes what happens is the second berth whoever is taken, that is sometimes taken by DP World. Second berth is taken by some Port of Singapore authorities, then DP World by the whole Port of Singapore authorities, for example, then all the berths belong to them. Then what they do is they monopolize and they fix the tariff and they create lot of problem. That is one thing what we want to avoid. Similarly, between Chennai port and Ennore port, initially they said Chennai port should not handle all dirty cargoes, it should go to Ennore port. Then Ennore port should not handle container ports, container berth, container ships, it should be done by Chennai port. It is not being practiced. These are the controls, for example, which you have to do. Then this is Ministry of Defence. There is a zone for Coast Guard, then Maritime Zones Act. So, this is also a complex situation, that is you have a state police, you have a Coast Guard, you have a Navy. anything inside the land side of high tide line is state police. From high tide line to some distance, I do not know how many nautical miles, that is for Coast Guard, and beyond that in open sea in our territorial waters it is Navy. All of you know this Mumbai, that all the terrorists have come for Taj Mahal and all. So, they have to split through these 3 zones: Navy, Coast Guard and state police. They have to go through all these zones, and the controls are different. Navy will not exercise control on the zone where Coast Guard is there, and Coast Guard will not exercise control over state police. So, this is what is happening. But coming to the port, that is for the security angle. As far as this Ministry of Defence is concerned, the same example of Pratibha Kaveri or any ship which got damage and there is a pollution, oil pollution, then within the Coast Guard area, mostly it lies in the Coast Guard area, the pollution control is to be done by Coast Guard. So, that is how it comes into picture. The MOEF is a very powerful organization, and they have this various notification: Coastal Regulation Zone Notification 91, Forest Notification 1980. If you see some project, that is POSCO in Orissa, this forest notification comes into picture because they want to get into the forest land. Similarly, Paradip Port, all the lands are under forest area, so they have to get a approval from forest. Water, Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. So, water is the main thing. You cannot take the water from the CRZ or adjacent to the shoreline, you cannot pump the groundwater. Then hazardous waste management. The environmental impact notification is further modified in 1994. Then there is the Environmental Protection Act, Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972, then Biological Diversity Act 2002. You are supposed to know about all these acts and comply with these requirements. Ministry of Agriculture, fish comes. I do not know how, why in agriculture the fishing comes. They do not want to change. Agriculture and fishing are same for them, I think. You have a deep sink policy, Indian Fisheries Act, Marine Fisheries Regulation Act, all these acts comes into picture. So, if you see this slide, it is mind boggling. If a person has to start a port and there is no single window system, I think the Ministry of Finance and Prime Minister's office, PMO, they want a single window system, but this Ministry of Environment and Forest and Ministry of Defence, they have very strong control. Coming back to Ministry of Defence, in Orissa coast, the line is about 400 kilometers. About 150 kilometers comes under some Forest Act and other acts and Biodiversity Act and things like that. Another 150 kilometer goes to defence. Only 100 kilometers available for Orissa for development. Orissa's share is only 6%, where Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and Maharashtra put together it may be around 75-80%. I have participated in some meeting where Orissa government, Ministry of Defence and the developer comes into play. Orissa government says, why you are penalizing us only? Because there is a very good bay, there is a Wheeler Island and north of Wheeler Island up to West Bengal coastline, there is a some kind of a very protected area where we do all the missile testing and other things. Once the area is demarked for defence, getting it back is very difficult, either in the sea or in the land. If you are going to airport, there is an area after that Parangimalai Jyoti theatre, that area is for defence area, very difficult to get back. Even for our airport expansion, some area defence said they will give, but finally it is very difficult to get from them. Similarly, near Napier Bridge, which is near the mouth of the Coom river, there also there are some defence areas are there. They have their own requirements, but we have to go through very big bureaucracy to get all these things solved. This shows what the people who are having lot of resources do. This is something like a real estate boom. They create, I think this is almost completed, Palm Jumeirah, this is Palm Jebel Ali, this is the world and this is Palm Daira. So, this is the shoreline, and they want to create separate facilities and all those things. For this also dredging is being used. And this is the palm Jumeirah, where lot of it is astonishing to know that about 30% of this is owned by Indians. You know that? Do you know? Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, most of the people invest money in this. Huh? What is it? Don't forget about David Beckham. Why are you worried about David Beckham? He has so much of money. But our Indian Bollywood, they are investing here. I forgot the name of the hotel. There is some hotel in Dubai, very difficult for a common person to enter. 1977 I went for this Bombay, this education trip. That Taj hotel in Bombay, they did not allow me inside. Similarly, there is another hotel in Dubai. Even if you go by a Mercedes Benz, unless you have some business inside the hotel, either you have booked a room or you are meeting somebody there, they are not allowing you inside. It is not that you are white or black or brown, whoever it is not allowed. It is a very big hotel and there is a approach into the sea. What is it? What is it? It is a 7-star hotel. I forgot the name of the hotel. Huh? It's not an island, it's a hotel.
The hotel's name
Much
is
longer,
Burj
maybe
Al
15
Arab.
20 years by the way. Okay, we will close it today with this.